Австралийн Welcome.
Сайн байцгаана уу хүн үзэгчдээ. Өнөөдөр орой манай де факто нэвтрүүлгийн зочноор холбооны бүгд найрамдах Герман улсаас Монгол улсад суугаа Элчин сайд ноён Gerhard Thiedemann оролцож байна.
1953 оны 10 дугаар сарын 14-нд Хамбург хотноо төрсэн, гэрэлсэн 2 хүүхэдтэй. 1973 онд ерөнхий боловсролын сургууль, 1974-өөс 1979 онд хууль эрх зүйн болон улс ардын аж ахуйн мэргэжлэр их сургууль дүүргэсэн. 1980-аас 1983 онд хууль зүйн чиглэлээр мэргэжсэн, өмгөөлөгчийн эрх авсан. 1984-өөс 1987 онд холбооны Залуучууд гэр бүл эрүүл мэндийн яамнд, 1987-оос 1991 онд холбооны Эдийн Засгийн хамтын ажиллагааны яамнд, 1991-ээс 1993 онд бүгд найрамдах Бангладеш ард улсад Дака дахь холбооны бүгд найрамдах Герман улсын Элчин сайдын яамнд, 1993-аас 1996 онд холбооны бүгд найрамдах Герман улсын Гадаад хэргийн яамнд, 1996-аас 1999 онд Арабын бүгд найрамдах Египет улсад Кайро дахь холбооны бүгд найрамдах Герман улсын Элчин сайдын яамнд, 1999-ээс 2003 онд холбооны бүгд найрамдах Герман улсын Гадаад хэргийн яам газрын орлогч дарга, 2003-аас 2006 онд Япон улсад Токио дахь холбооны бүгд найрамдах Герман улсын Элчин сайдын яамнд, 2006-аас 2010 онд холбооны бүгд найрамдах Герман улсын Гадаад хэргийн яам газрын орлогч дарга, 2010-аас 2013 онд холбооны бүгд найрамдах Герман улсаас бүгд найрамдах ардчилсан Солонгос ард улсад суугаа онц бөгөөд бүрэн эрхт Элчин сайдаар, 2013 оны 7 дугаар сарын 2-ноос холбооны бүгд найрамдах Герман улсаас Монгол улсад суугаа онц бөгөөд бүрэн эрхт Элчин сайдаар ажиллаж байна.
Good evening, sir.
Hello.
Very pleased to have you at our show. Please tell us what major things happened once you came to the country as ambassador from that up to date.
Oh, fortunately, Germany and Mongolia enjoy a close-knit network of different relations in various areas, and that makes the job of the ambassador to Ulaanbaatar so very, very interesting, because we have activities covering the whole range, from political issues, scientific, cultural, economical, press activities,
yes,
and contacts with the media.
This is the 40th years of diplomatic relations.
That is true. The Federal Republic of Germany and Mongolia concluded in 1974 diplomatic relations.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to take into account that the relationship between our two people is far more long-standing in history.
Mm-hmm.
First contacts between Mongolians and the people in middle of Europe date back to 800 years ago, when
Mm-hmm.
Genghis Khan and his people came.
Mm-hmm.
But in modern times, already in the second half of the 19th century, we had German scientists
Mm-hmm.
coming to Mongolia
Mm-hmm.
with interest
Mm-hmm.
in historical aspects of this country.
Mm-hmm.
And in the 1920s, we had the first Mongolian students coming to Germany.
Yeah, exactly. And with those 2 or 3 groups of young Mongolian kids coming to Germany, we associate with these delegations who came back, started a lot new cultural and a lot civilized events, things in this country. What do you know about that part of contributions of those students who studied in Germany when they come back and work in Mongolia?
Well, I think these people are really the founding fathers of a real relationship and encounter between our people, and especially between intellectuals. Unfortunately, in the 1930s, it was also a tragedy concerning the destiny of these people after they came back to their fatherland. But this is not forgotten, and I think we all can be proud that at that time already quite some exchange of intellectual knowledge took place.
In fact, it is, and these people were a part of founding fathers of Mongolian modern, say, opera, modern music, philharmonic, symphonic orchestra. Unfortunately, many of them were repressed during the bad days of our history. I used to know some of them. Mr. Namkhai Tsering, who was the first director of Opera House in Mongolia, and we are very delighted in Mongolia to know about that fact. But the details were more discovered after the Democratic Revolution, the details of the history. So, as you said, the relations goes back to many years, hundreds of years. And quite recently you have been opening with our Minister of Culture the wonderful exhibitions of this steep warriors culture. Please tell us about that. What is this?
Yeah, I think this is really a success story of cooperation, not only between our archaeologists. Of course, they have excavated marvelous treasures of Mongolian history from the 7th to the 14th century. And it was a long-standing cooperation to reconstruct these artifacts, to find out what they really are, to refurbish them, to present them, and there was an interest in these artifacts in Europe as well as here in Mongolia. So the exhibition we had to open yesterday with the Minister of Culture in Ulaanbaatar had been presented beforehand in Germany and in the Netherlands, and has been now coming back to this country. And it has not only archaeological aspects, it has cultural aspects. For example, musical instrument, a harp had been excavated, and a replica could be played again.
Sort of restored by German professionals.
These instruments have been restored. And I understand that this results have also an influence on economic aspects, since this will improve tourism in this country, because many people know about these artifacts and develop a further interest in Mongolia, and they will come.
This is a musical instrument which is restored. Does it sound as a music instrument?
Oh yes,
it is.
It was impressive, a miracle, to hear the sound of this traditional harp.
It's about 1,000 years old, right?
Yes, more than 1,000 years.
Found on the current territory of Mongolia.
Oh yes.
By German archaeologists.
Germans and Mongolian archaeologists cooperating together. And that makes me so happy. This is really something where Mongolians and Germans did something together to mutual benefit.
See, this is history, culture, and there is another event happening in the field of education. Please tell us about that.
That is true. On the 3rd and 4th of May, we will have another German educational fair here in Ulaanbaatar. This is already a tradition. We have this every year, but in 2014 we will do this with even more effort. The intention is to promote education and science in Germany and the exchange with Mongolia. So I think this is a place where young, relevant, intellectual, interested Mongolian people should go on March 3 and 4.
I have no doubt about quality of German education, and we have a lot examples of a perfect performer of that education system of Germany in Mongolia, in fact in Germany. What makes education in Germany also special for Mongolians compared to, say, other bigger countries?
Well, I think Germany is a country with a modern educational and scientific system based on a long-standing tradition. We have the privilege that study in Germany is in principle free. So it's not a big investment as it is in other countries offering on the education market. You mentioned already the quality. This is, I think, beyond doubt. And we have the privilege that there are many Mongolians who speak already German, which of course helps a lot to start living and studying in Germany. But nowadays we have also integrated study schemes which can be done in the English language in Germany.
Welcome.
So the education they can get in English as well?
That is in parts also offered, yes.
How come that this education, which provides the same quality like in other bigger countries, yet to be not, not expensive, almost free of charge from the students? So the cost should be covered by the government of or taxpayers in Germany. How much does it for the budget cost education system?
Oh, this is of course quite an investment, but the German taxpayer is willing to take that burden because we think in Germany this is a worthwhile investment. It's of course primarily a worthwhile investment in German students, but roughly 10%, sometimes more, of our university students are coming from abroad. And we think this is a positive way to start future cooperation, because whoever starts in Germany will take with him or her not only the knowledge, but also a part of Western and German way of thinking. He or she will have friends in Germany, and I guess that over the whole lifetime this person will like to cooperate with Germans and Germany, and
Indeed.
that has not only intellectual but also scientific and economic aspects.
Indeed, this is I think a perfect case of Mongolia. We have been students sending to, as we talked, from the 20s to Germany. One unit was divided to Eastern Germany. And altogether, do you know any statistics about graduates? How many of them are?
Well, there are roughly 80 students going to Germany each year. And when it comes to the people who have studied in Germany, let me just mention that we have an alumni society, the Mongolian German Bridge, and I understand that they have at least 1,000 people in their membership.
Altogether, at a certain point, we were talking about 30,000, those who have been working, studying in Germany, who are sort of career of German language in Mongolian society.
That is true.
Yeah, and I think this is a good base of cooperation between two countries. And how do you find the cooperation in business?
Also there, we have a lot of cooperation, but always economic exchange could be bigger and could improve. But let me mention we have a German-Mongolian entrepreneurs society based here in Ulaanbaatar, which has, I understand, roughly 70 members, 70 companies being member in this society. And of course, this is not exclusive. There are more active in German-Mongolian trade and business. So also within the framework of 40 years of diplomatic relations with the Federal Republic of Germany, we will have in June German-Mongolian Corporate Days. That is a conference and a seminar where business people business community can exchange and promote the cooperation, can find new partners, and we will have a business delegation under the leadership of the Deputy Prime Minister of Baden-Württemberg coming to these German-Mongolian business days.
In June.
In June, yeah.
You know, before we come to the political side and other aspects of our cooperation, I just want to ask a question from your career. You were ambassador to North Korea, and also you have been a cultural attaché or affairs in Japan, Bangladesh. So how do you see Mongolians' role or participation in economic or other political integration, cooperation in the region?
I think that Mongolia has developed quite a profile over the last years in international multilateral cooperation. And this is clearly indicated, for example, within the United Nations, and taking part in peacekeeping operations. It is very impressive to see that, for example, in southern Sudan and Afghanistan, Mongolian soldiers are always part of the peacekeepers. And I have learned that 1/10 of the Mongolian army is constantly engaged in peacekeeping operations.
Well, of our large army, yes.
And well, but percentage-wise, 10% is really something. And I think there are only few armies around the globe who can say 10% of our people are engaged in peacekeeping constantly. And
In
so
fact,
far, this
this
is really something Mongolia can be proud of, and it is a clear sign of a international political profile of this country and its government.
In terms of two Koreas, dialogue, etc., how do you see that role of Mongolia here?
I think the Mongolian and the German role is comparable in that aspect.
Okay.
Both countries and both governments are active promoting de-escalation on the Korean peninsula. Both countries have embassies in Pyongyang, not the Japanese, not the South Koreans, not the United States, but Mongolia and Germany, among a few others, have embassies in Pyongyang, and the most important task to do there is, from every day on, morning to evening, promote dialogue and de-escalation. It's a task which is not very easy to fulfill, but I think it is honorable for Mongolia as well as Germany and some others who are engaged in this area to do this effort and try to assist the people and the governments in the region to come to a more peaceful future as it is now.
Okay, so let's go back to our political cooperation. What are the highlights now?
I think the highlights we can count on is that we had already a very high-ranking exchange of visitors. We had in 2011 the Federal Chancellor Angela Merkel coming to Mongolia, and we had in 2012 a very successful visit of your state president Elbek Dorj to Germany. Just to mention these visits, beforehand we had also an exchange of more high-ranking visitors, like presidents from Mongolia going to Germany and vice versa, German presidents coming to here. The next high-ranking visit we will have is the visit of Foreign Minister Bolt to Berlin in June, just to mention one. And there are more visits to come. So the political dialogue between German and Mongolian leaders is well underway. And we feel privileged that, for example, your foreign minister is speaking German, which makes contacts much easier.
What is the reason of Mongolia having such a attention in comparison with other countries of our size in terms of population, having such a privilege, having such a high-level delegations and visits, most importantly, very dynamic cooperation? Where do you find?
I think that relates a little bit back to Genghis Khan, because from that time on, and what happened, there is a specific interest from not only Germany but Europe to Mongolia and the Mongolians. But I think nowadays it is caused by the situation of Mongolia, more than 5 times as big as Germany by size, but only 3 million inhabitants, with 2 very, very big neighbors and a third neighbor politics. And so this very specific geopolitical placement on the globe causes the actual interest of Germany and the Europeans in your country.
You know, when we talk about Germany, ordinary Mongolians always think about quality. And quality, we even say we have a word, German standard. And now with European Union, Mongolia is promoting the idea of accepting certain standards from Europe, mostly Germany. What you can tell about that part of cooperation?
Well, I think in the area of standards and high quality goods, Germany is a forerunner. And in so far we really have something to offer. Our European partners also have, and in this respect we have concluded a partnership and cooperation agreement between the European Union and Mongolia already gets preferences, as we call it, GSP+, which is the generalized scheme of preferences, which allows Mongolian goods to be imported into Europe with zero taxes, zero customs duties on roughly 2/3 of the EU tariff lines, which is really quite a privilege Mongolia can enjoy. And on the other hand side, we want to provide and sell more and more high quality goods, which unfortunately have their price.
How much the Mongolians do use that privileges?
Well, this is a new privilege, and in so far we have not yet a clear statistical data about the development, but Mongolia is still very much dependent on the export of raw materials and commodities. And in so far, here are chances for the future to diversify the products. And
it has certain terms to be expired?
The GSP is bound to some regulations, so it's not an automatism. But I think we can be very optimistic that Mongolia will go along with this program.
Ideally, if our, say, Kashmir textiles, if we produce, or wool can go, leather products can go without that sort of taxes otherwise paid by other countries, right, to the European market.
That is true, yes.
So that's again, in case of, by the way here, in case of meat, let's say, if we meet the sanitary other conditions, still it will have this privilege or not?
Meat is insofar problematic as there are specific hygienic standards have to be met, and these are high hurdles. And so far, this is
we cannot overcome even our neighbors so far. So
yeah.
it is back again to the quality. There is now new polytechnical universities being refurbished, remade, re-standardized by German standard. And that's good news. Please tell us about that.
You mean the German Mongolian Institute for Raw Materials and Technology in Nalaich?
Yes.
Yeah, this is a very interesting project of cooperation between our two countries, and hopefully it can be opened sometimes later in the year. There is already this impressive campus out in Nalaich, which has to be completed. At the moment there are quite a number of German professors engaged to create or to assist in the organizational setup of this university. How is the curriculum constituted? What is the setup of the leadership of the university? It is clearly a Mongolian institution where the Germans can assist and will assist in the capacity building.
I interviewed a head of Aachen University, former head of Aachen University, who come to make some contribution to this Nalaich Institute.
I know him.
And he said, German products are good because German engineers are good, he said.
I am a lawyer and not an engineer, and in so far I can agree to him, but I cannot judge on German engineers.
What I'm saying is, with that institute we hope that certain change in our quality of products we will produce. That's the hope of many Mongolians and many, in particular, young students, I think, coming to this university. You, by nationality, of course, German. Where you were born?
I'm from Hamburg, the big port city in the north.
Okay, and this hamburger, or the Americans call it hamburger. Does it come from Hamburg?
No, that has nothing to do with my home city.
Okay.
I understand this comes from Ham and not from Hamburg.
Hamburg, okay. Who were your parents? Why you decide to become a diplomat?
Yeah, that is, I think, easy to answer in that respect, that Hamburg already hundreds of years ago, as a port city, had a relationship with the world. German sailing ships went to all continents, also to East Asia. And insofar, from my early boyhood on, I had seen foreign people in the streets of Hamburg. I got interested in stories from abroad, and later on, during my studies, recognized that it would be very worthwhile for me personally to work in the area of international relations. So finally, I could join the German Foreign Service, and I think it is the greatest profession in the world where I can serve in.
When you have decided to join, was it hard to join, being a lawyer, or?
Oh, it's of course quite a long way through university and practical junior lawyers training, entering into the Foreign Service, get qualifications there and pass exams until you finally are a full lawyer and a full diplomat.
You have decided before university to join Foreign Service through the being a lawyer?
No, this came on the way.
On the way. All right. Tell us about, please, your family.
Oh, I am married to a microbiologist who is with me here in Ulaanbaatar and enjoys to be here in your country to get to know more about the great outdoors and to get to know more and more Mongolian people. She just had been elected to be president of the International Women's Association here in Ulaanbaatar, and that will provide more chances to interact with many, many more Mongolians. My kids are already grown up living in Germany, but my son just recently visited us here.
That's great. What keeps you so strong and enthusiastic, so much energetic? What sport do you do?
Oh, if I have the time and the opportunity, I like to go sailing, skiing, go with my kayak on rivers, and of course I like to hike. So these are partly sports which I can exercise very good in Mongolia.
Okay.
And in that respect, this is a beautiful add-on of a good living in your country.
Particular hobby?
No particular hobby. I'm interested in very, very many things. Culturally, I like to go to see, for example, opera and ballet here in Ulaanbaatar, but not a specific hobby, because an ambassador has a long working day and not only 5 days a week. And so far, there are many, many interesting professional things which I like, but they are not my hobby.
Ambassador, certainly this is very interesting year for cooperation between two countries, and you have been already doing a lot of interesting things, you and your team, and it is such a good contribution towards better tomorrow of our cooperation, and we are so happy having you here in Mongolia, and I would like to thank you for coming to my interview. If there is a particular thing you would like to express?
I would like to express my best wishes for Mongolians and Germans. They should keep on having an interest in each other, and I would like to ask the citizens, especially here in Ulaanbaatar, take part in our programs during the 40th Jubilee of our relationship in 2014. Look at our website of the German Embassy and you will find the full program there.
Certainly will do. Thank you very much. Thank you.